Welcome back to Fishing Without Bait. We're going to continue our conversation with Mike Dawson and Tim Vitullo. What brings joy in your life, Tim?
Well, certainly music. Yeah, time with my partner. Time with family and friends. Yeah, I mean, all those like really important things. And I think the common thread for me in all of those is they're really meaningful interpersonal experiences. Music either with a collaborator like Mike or with an audience. Trying to make a human connection in that way. Obviously a little bit easier with family and friends because you've already kind of built that connection in some way, and you're just further growing it.
So, Mike, sometimes, often, what I talk to my patients is about the difference between pleasure and joy. Pleasure needs sustained, like eating potato chips. As long as you're eating potato chips, you feel the pleasure. But as soon as you're done, you put away the potato chips, the pleasure is gone. But joy doesn't need that. So, what brings joy in your life?
At this point, it's little things. I mean, I've lived in so many different places that getting to explore new areas. I live close to Frick Park, so getting to just walk around the parks and just experience that. Being so close to the Pirates. I mean, I lived outside of New York. To go to a Yankee game, it was like an all-day affair or anything. But here, I can leave at 1 o'clock and make a 1:35 first pitch. Let's go. So for me, it's just little. The joy is just finding something I haven't done before that's not too demanding and just go do it these days. I think it's just me getting older, though, more than anything.
We have to create joy in our lives. We have to create it. It just doesn't come to us. If we're sitting on our couch waiting for it to happen, it's not going to. And therefore, and again, we refer back to action and effort. It's the action and effort. And that's what frustrates people because, again, they want to take the easier, softer way. They want to start on chapter 6 of the book. But, however, most contractor will tell you that the most important thing about a house, a building, is the foundation. It's not all the fancy stuff you see outside. It's not the well-trimmed lawn. It's not the drapes and all the accoutrements inside. It's the foundation. So tell me about how you started with the foundation of your career, your music career, Tim, and how you add to and reinforce that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the foundation for me was always curiosity. It was I nobody like forced a guitar on me ever. I was like, here, you better do this, and I learned to love it. It was always I actively sought it out, and always had a passion to learn, and that's a thing that's carried me throughout my entire career. And I think that curiosity has, as I've learned more things, it's granted me a lot of flexibility to be really adaptable to different situations where I can work in a lot of different contexts and feel comfortable doing that. Yeah, so I would say that's been that thread and that bedrock that I've kind of built everything on. It's just a passion to learn and a curiosity to keep learning new things.
Cool. So how do you maintain your foundation, Mike?
How do I maintain it? Seeking out those who are better than me at all times. Who's doing what I want to do or feel like is just outside of my reach, and what do they do? It seems kind of really crazy for a musician to say this, but I follow a lot of special forces YouTube channels just to see like what is the mentality of someone who is in Delta Force? What is the mentality of someone who's not just a Navy SEAL but in DevGru? How did they go about their day? How did they get to the point where they were chosen to do the most dangerous, extreme things and have the cold mentality to just execute? Why? No, I think maybe drums are sort of that role. You have to be the one who's going to be the assassin on the gig. So that kind of stuff, I just seek out really high achieving, no fluff, individuals and just try to soak up as much as I can to just what can I do in my daily life that gets me. I'm never going to be a Navy SEAL, obviously, but to get me to that mentality of I can just turn it on. We got to play. I don't care where we are. We got to play. I've got to get the switch to be focused and open and do my job. So that's been my approach, just seeking out like some of my friends in town are some of the best musicians in the world. You know, I go hang out with them or just have them play my drums and like, whoa, that's what my instrument could sound like. You know? So it's always the humbling of like who can show me the way, you know, to the next.
Well, if you want to be a better violin player, hang around better violin players. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, said that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Smart.
Yeah.
So we always want to be people. We always want to be around people who challenge us. If you ever want to listen to something, Mike and Tim, I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy by the name of Admiral McCraven. Mick Craven.
Oh, yes. Yes.
He gave a commencement address at the University of Texas not too terribly long ago. It's about 22 minutes long. It's on YouTube. And he talks about his experiences as a training as a Navy SEAL and his rise through the ranks. And he gives 10 separate tips on life that they correlate with the Navy SEAL training, but they would correlate to everybody in his life. You talk about a guy who's focused and locked in.
On it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, definitely.
It's a 22-minute. Pull it up on YouTube, Admiral McCraven.
Okay.
And it's pretty outstanding. You listen to that and you jump up, and if he'd say yes, you jump up and say, yes, sir. They'd confidence, you know.
Mm-hmm.
People, there's a big difference between arrogance and confidence. You know, people avoid arrogant people. People follow confident people. So I'm sure in your musical careers, I imagine you've ran into more than one arrogant person.
Oh, yes. More than the confident ones, I would say.
Yeah.
Usually the arrogant ones are not confident. They're insecure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's usually a coping mechanism. Yeah, because they don't feel good about what they're doing.
So how do you deal with the arrogant people, particularly if they have a power dynamic?
I deal with it by just keeping my mouth shut. Nothing that I'm going to say is going to change that person's outlook. So I just do my job, and I'm rubber or you're glue, whatever that saying is. It happens all the time, especially with band leaders and management teams and publicists. Like I've had to deal with it all, to where it's just like, cool. I mean, you're gonna be you, and I'm just not gonna respond. So that's the only way I can deal with it. It's just I'm rubber.
Yeah.
How about you, Tim?
Yeah, I mean it's I think about like those situations, and for me, I can only control what I'm doing, how I'm acting, how I'm, being perceived. Where it might be a problem is if I feel like that person's speaking on my behalf, and I don't like that. But otherwise, similar to that, I focus on how do I be the best version of me? How do I, represent myself as somebody that you actually want to spend time with, and make sure that I'm showing up and doing the work to the best of my ability.
So part of what we're doing here tonight is to show your fans and new fans, old fans, that you're human beings, the human part of Tim Vitullo, the human part of Mike Dawson. So they need to know these type of things, not just the guitar player who's blurring his fingers. Okay, they get to know you on a personal basis, and they get... I think they'd be more interested in you as human beings and you as musicians too. So when does the album come out?
Yeah, so the album releases digitally on Friday, November 8th on all the streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. You can ask Alexa or Siri or whoever your device of choice is. And it's, again, LUNR, LUNR ECCOS, ECCOS. Just Mike Dawson, Tim Vitullo. And then we'll be having a release show the following Sunday, November 10th at Club Cafe in the South Side.
Might be one of the last performances there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, some unfortunate news that they're going to shut down at the end of the year. But it should be a really fun time. We collaborated with 4 Points Brewing over on Western Ave on the north side. One of my favorite. I don't know if you've had much of their stuff, but
no.
Yeah, they rock. But they're going to be making a special collab beer for the event, a LUNR ECCOS beer that they're going to have available. It'll be the release of that. We're going to play the album front to back, and then our friend Picasso, who's a DJ, is going to, for the first portion of the event, going to kind of do a little bit of a left of center vibey background music, so people can come in, check out the beer and kind of meet and greet. And I'm sure a lot of our musician friends are probably going to stop out, so it'll be good for us too to see and say hello to everybody.
Are tickets required, Tim?
Tickets are required. They're $12. You can get them. I have a link in my Instagram bio. If you search the Club Cafe website, I think it's through TicketWeb, you can buy them, and they'll also be available at the door.
Okay. So if people want to connect more with you two and your two's music, how do they do that?
Well, we decided not to create a separate account for this project yet. So it would be through either my socials, Mike Dawson Drums, Tim Vitullo Music, or is it just Tim Vitullo? Yeah. We're kind of just sharing content now. Like, I'm putting stuff on my YouTube channel. We're, all over the place. Maybe we'll have a website at some point, but
Yeah. I think one of the things that was kind of an advantage for this is, I think there are people in my fan group that would really like what I'm doing with Mike, and I think there's people in Mike's group that would really like what we're doing. So trying to bring those together a bit instead of trying to pick everybody up and put them in a third bucket off to the side.
So if you could give our producer the links to these things where they can contact you, and also, Tim, the links to your website and to listen to some of your YouTube music.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly Mike is a prolific poster. He has a ton of great drum content. So yeah, anybody who's even remotely curious about drums, you're.
It was daily for many years, but now it's probably twice a week.
Yeah. What I really like, Mike's really good at like just hashing out the fundamentals, and it's a good reminder, like all the cool flashy stuff that we do, and the tricks and the playing behind your head and whatever. Like that's all cool, and like audiences definitely love that stuff, but it's always like a constant reminder for me to like, oh no, I really need to work on my time. I really need to work on, my attack and my tone and my, even the physicality of it, to make sure I'm not, going to hurt myself or put myself in a bad position, 20, 30 years from now.
Well, you two are most certainly delightful.
Thank you.
And as always, we'd certainly like to have you on in the future to update us on your progress. And at the end of every podcast, we offer a free prescription: fruits, nuts, and vegetables, and unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we suggest that you fish without bait. Do a kindness for yourself and do a kindness for another. Forgive yourself and forgive another. To where all are free, none are free. Namaste, my friends.
Cool. A whole bunch of stuff.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.